Five minutes with Sean, maybe 10. November, we're here to kick it off with having some fun and talking about what happens when the data story doesn't match the retail reality. Because it's been happening recently, and I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I live in data. I look all over the place. Sometimes shit happens. Happens to me with my baseball team, right? They were supposed to be a certain number of good, bad, or indifferent this year, and they sucked. They were 500. They were average. The data says they were supposed to be better. In some cases, in other cases, it said they sucked. Beginning of the year, it projected they would be good. Reality, they sucked. They didn't make the playoffs. Who cares, right? I wasted 162 games of watching baseball. Not true, though. They kind of were out of the race after about 150. Doesn't matter. Point is that we were engaged, we were watching, and what I saw on the field didn't match the data that I had seen to start the year. Well, as it relates to work, client of mine out in Florida, good dude, known him long time. I met the guy at a digital dealer, one of our first ones, 2000, let's call it 14, maybe 13. And he then reached back out to me like years later when he got his own store. It was awesome. It was awesome. I saw him every time we were out that way. Cool relationship. Built up. Now he's a client of ours, has been for a long time. Awesome. He calls me a couple weeks ago and says, dude, you got to look at I don't understand. What's going on? Everything, I walk it up, boom, right off a cliff. I think it's my website. I think it's my advertising agency. I think it's this. I think it's that. Okay, let's have a look. The data said one thing, that every single part of everywhere was down. Everywhere was down. Then we got into the CRM. We saw that the CRM kind of agreed. It was down, but it was all down like small. All of it was down small. But he's talking about the ledge. And then all of a sudden, you see the ledge in the data. Right at the further off than he thought. Maybe he had pinned it for August, right? We had actually seen it middle of September. Data can lag, man. It happens. Rarely is it a forward indicator. I know people, this particular marketing company that we'll get to in a second, they believe that they can kind of extrapolate that out. But it doesn't matter. So we're all looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't that bad. This isn't that bad. And he's like, yeah, but my reality is this. This is what's really going on in my store, Sean. So what are we going to do? So we started to look into things, and we noticed that all of a sudden, the trigger points in his duplicate leads had gone up haywire right inside this questionable time frame. He didn't realize it. I didn't realize it. Looked into it, looking to see if it's an issue or not, right? Turns out it was a little bit of an issue, but it was a collective of a bunch of things that all looked like in the data reality, they were like this, but in the dealer reality, they were like this because they all had come to the same funnel at once and hit him that way. So deals were dropping off, leads were dropping off, everything was sort of happening. The good news that I guess I had for him was that because all of the data was down in all the different vendors, in all the different places, it can speak to a market issue. Now, the problem he had was that the reality of me saying that, his market being down, was that he's got sister stores he shares a market with who are not down, who are killing it, right? So that's the data story does not match the dealer story, okay? The next example of this is another dealer client of mine in Florida, newer client this year, but great dude running a Mitsubishi store there. He's got a vendor that relies a ton on AI and sort of telling the future, you know, what's going to happen, right? Forecasting, if you will. All right. So this tool, that's all they bring to the table in their discussions is what this tool believes of the market, the national data, and what's happening. And the dealer himself said, that ain't my reality. I don't really care. How are you going to get me more leads, do more? Because we're in the car business, people. We expect more of every single situation in front of us. Justified or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We expect it to do more, be more than it truly probably can be. But that's who we are. That's what makes us the breed that we are of car people. So we have this call, and then you get to this divide of data where the vendor believes in the data, the dealer doesn't believe in the data. When that happens, it's very difficult to come back from, especially when the vendor over here continues to hammer on, well, yes, but our data, our approach, our AI, everything we say says to do it this way. And the dealer and I, we think that this approach in this case, was really heavy on social media and not heavy on paid search. We believe paid search creates leads. Social media maybe doesn't necessarily create the now lead, but the future lead. So we weren't as invested because we were worried about the now. So we wanted to take funds and shift. They didn't necessarily want to do that. And that's where it becomes awkward for people, because if the dealer, I get that not every dealer knows enough to make a call on their own data, which, by the way, if that's the case, call me, I'll help educate you, because you should know. You should know full well what people are asking you to do, because potentially the people asking you to make changes could have incentive to do so. You want to know the difference without that incentive. But anyways, this kept coming back to, well, our data. And the dealer kept saying, yeah, but my reality. Now, ultimately, as I see this relationship, it is headed for divorce. I don't think it can go any other way, because there's a distrust of data, and data is the only reasoning you have. And then when the dealer calls them out on their data as to, like, the region that this dealer is in is down 35%, or was down 15%. The dealer was down 35%. His point was, well, then why the hell is that the case? Well, we don't know. Well, you brought it up. How do you not know? If you can't tell your data story, don't take parts and pieces and make it where it's conveniently told. Tell the whole story, or don't tell any of it at all. That's my advice. So I know a bunch of you have dealt with this. I know a ton of you have dealt with this. And we need to go and make sure that the data stories that we're hearing are validated in our realities. It is extremely, extremely important. You cannot have data without the eyeball test. Go back to baseball with Moneyball. Moneyball is successful because, yes, analytics people exist, but people with eyes and ears at a field level also understand what it takes to do the job as well. Got to combine it all. Can't just look at one or the other, and certainly not pieces that are convenient. Thank you all so much. Go out, have a great start to November, and we'll do this all again next Monday.